Senator Smith.
Thank you very much, Mr President. My question is to the Minister for Communications, Senator Fifield. Can the Minister update the Senate why it's important to undertake detailed planning prior to embarking on large infrastructure projects like the National Broadband Network, and to provide the public with accurate financial and operational information concerning taxpayer-funded government business enterprises such as NBN Co?
What's wrong with the
Order on my right. On my right, the Minister for Communications, Senator Fifield.
Thanks, Mr President, and can I thank Senator Smith for his deep interest in and knowledge of the communications portfolio. Mr President, I think everyone in this place knows that the NBN is the largest and most complex infrastructure project in Australian history. It is national in a very literal sense. It's extending down every street, spanning thousands of square kilometres through fixed wireless, and beaming in from 36,000 kilometres overhead in some places. It does require a colossal amount of taxpayer funding, running into the tens of billions of dollars, and it'll be 10 years in the making. Yes, when those opposite were embarking upon this venture, they did cut every single corner that they possibly could. They avoided a cost-benefit analysis. They abandoned normal cabinet process. And when Senator Conroy, as minister, appointed a board, not one person on the board had telecommunications experience. Not one out of 8. Mr President, while Senator Conroy was in charge, he waited for more than a year after appointing the executive chairman to actually issue a statement of expectations to the company. Where this chaos and mismanagement really showed was in the financial and operational targets. So by the time of the election, the rollout was already years behind forecast, and after receiving $6.5 billion in funding, less than 3% of premises were passed, and there were only 50,000 users on the network. Mr President, unlike those opposite, this government has required the NBN to set realistic financial and operational targets, and the company's most recent quarterly results prove that point.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Smith, a supplementary question.
For that very thorough response, I have a supplementary question. What has the Coalition done to improve the operational and financial performance of the National Broadband Network, particularly in Northern Australia?
Minister.
Mr President, the turnaround in the NBN rollout across Northern Australia has been nothing short of spectacular. Right now, more than 110,000 homes and businesses in major cities like Cairns, Townsville, Mackay and Darwin can connect to the NBN. Possibly the best example is the Territory. The NBN's powering ahead there with the 40,000 premises in Darwin now in the footprint, and about 6,700 left to cover within the next year. The next rollout site to kick off this week will be the centre of Alice Springs. About 9,200 premises are in the forward build schedule for Alice, starting with around 2,000 homes and businesses, and that work is scheduled for completion in around 6 months. And I know that that's something that Senator Scullion will certainly be embracing. That is just one example of the turnaround of the NBN under this government.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Smith, final supplementary question.
Thank you, Mr President. Can the Minister advise the Senate of any threats to continuing in the NBN's rollout progress across Northern Australia?
Minister.
Mr President, I'm tempted to just point. I'm tempted to just point to someone wearing a pink tie over the other side, but I know pointing doesn't come up in the Hansard. So I better make it clear Senator Conroy is the primary answer to Senator Smith's question. And I think we know, even those opposite know, that if Labor did come back into government, as much as we like Jason Clare, and we genuinely do on this side, like Mr Clare, that it would actually be Senator Conroy who had his hands on the levers. And I think that's something that not only those of us on this side, but many on the other side might be more than a little concerned about. Mr President, under our watch, the Northern Territory will be fully networked with the NBN in around 18 months' time. By contrast, in built-up areas there were only 322 premises capable of getting broadband services on the network under 6 years of Labor.
Thank you, Minister.